I refused to fight my brother for food, and he never forgave me. My parents believed that comfort made children weak, so they'd make us fight each other for food, water, and shelter, because only the strongest child deserved to survive each day. My parents were obsessed with creating what they called apex humans through extreme survival training that started when we were toddlers. Dad was a former military drill sergeant who'd been dishonorably discharged for abusing recruits, and Mom was a self-proclaimed survival expert who'd never actually survived anything more dangerous than a camping trip. They'd read every book about raising warrior children and decided that modern parenting was creating soft, pathetic weaklings who couldn't handle real adversity. Our house was set up like a military compound with no furniture, no toys, and no comfort items because they believed luxury would corrupt our natural fighting instincts. When I turned 10, my parents sat me down with my twin brother Lewis and explained the new household rules that would govern our daily survival. Starting tomorrow, you'll earn every single thing you need to live, Dad announced with genuine excitement. Food, water, blankets, even permission to use the bathroom will be awarded only to the child who proves they deserve it most. Mom nodded proudly and added, "Weak children die in the real world, so we're going to make sure you're strong enough to live." They explained that every morning we'd compete in physical challenges, and the winner would get to eat breakfast while the loser would go hungry until the next competition. Living under this system was hell because every basic human need became a battle against my own brother. We'd wake up every morning and have to fight for a single bowl of cereal, wrestle for access to the bathroom, and compete in brutal obstacle courses just to earn the right to sleep indoors instead of in the backyard. I refused to hurt Louis during these competitions, which meant I constantly lost and spent most nights shivering outside while he got to sleep in the warm house. Dad would scream at me for failing to embrace my killer instinct, and Mom would lecture me about how my weakness would get me killed in the real world. The worst part was watching Louis slowly transform from my sweet brother and best friend into a vicious competitor who would do anything to win. During one particularly brutal wrestling match for dinner, Louis bit me so hard that I bled, and when I started crying, Dad cheered and said, "Finally, now you're learning what real hunger feels like." They'd make us compete for water by seeing who could hold their breath longer, and I'd always let Louis win because I couldn't bear the thought of him being dehydrated. He was my twin. It was still my job to protect him, even if he didn't feel the same way anymore. My parents saw this as proof that I was a genetic failure who lacked the survival drive necessary to live in their perfect world. They'd document our competitions on video and force us to watch the footage afterward, pointing out every moment where I'd chosen compassion over victory and explaining how these choices would kill me someday. I couldn't take watching Louis become a monster, so I started secretly giving him my hard-earned food and water when our parents weren't looking, trying to show him that we didn't have to be each other's enemies just because that's how our parents wanted it. I started trying to win competitions just so that I could slip him half my prize, hoping to keep some humanity alive in both of us. For a few weeks, I thought I was protecting him from the worst parts of their twisted system while keeping us both fed and hydrated. My parents even praised me for finally finding my inner predator until they discovered what I was really up to. It turned out they'd installed hidden cameras throughout the house to monitor our survival progress more closely. They were absolutely furious that I'd been corrupting Louis's natural competitive instincts and decided to escalate the challenges to eliminate my ability to sabotage their training. Dad grabbed me by the shoulders and screamed, "You think you're being kind, but you're actually making him weak enough to die." They locked me in the basement for 3 days without food or water while forcing Louis to compete against neighborhood kids who they'd recruited for increasingly dangerous challenges. When I finally emerged, Louis had a black eye and a broken finger, but he looked at me with pure hatred and said, "I could have been strong if you hadn't made me soft." But then one day, Louis collapsed during recess from dehydration. The school nurses who examined him noticed his injuries and called social services. When the social worker arrived, my parents were so proud of their survival training system that they actually demonstrated one of our competitions, making Louis and me fight over a single sandwich while explaining their philosophy about creating apex humans. The social worker was horrified and immediately called the police, who arrested both my parents for child abuse and neglect. Louis and I were placed in separate foster homes, and I haven't seen him since. I'm almost 18 now, and I'm doing okay, and my foster family is kind. But I miss my twin so much it hurts. Not the monster he grew into, who I hear is in juvie now, but the person he used to be before my parents made him an animal.